my first book in the late 90s. I wasn't, I would say, vulnerable enough and self-disclosing enough. And certainly after the largest go private ever in technology, the largest merger combination ever in technology with EMC and VMware, and the transformation of the company, many people encouraged me to write another book. And it's called Play Nice But Win because when I was a little kid, and my two brothers and I would go out in the street and play ball, our parents would always tell us, play nice but win. And it kind of stuck with me as a generally good life philosophy about being forthright and ethical and doing the right thing, but also not forgetting to win. So it's something we talk a lot about at Dell as well.
So you start the book with the story of the battle to take Dell private. I mean, to be honest, this book is about how you built Dell, and lots of people have heard the inside story of starting it out of your dorm room in Texas, right? This is all computer lore. The moment that you realized that you were in this battle to take Dell private, you're right that it wasn't so much about ego, although your name is on the building, it's on all these computers, so I imagine there's a little bit of there, but it was really feeling like this corporate raider wanted to destroy everything you built. So talk about why you started the book that way, and do you think you played nice throughout that battle?
It was a fairly dramatic moment for sure, and I thought the go private was a difficult thing, and then it became like 10 times more difficult than I think I or anybody had expected. And the motivation for this was really to accelerate the transformation. I wanted to really change the company. Didn't expect that Carl Icahn was going to show up and make things as difficult as they were. And look, I mean, as you know, he declared war on me, way before I started, firing back. But yeah, it was kind of the first time that I had encountered somebody just going on national television pretty much every day and lying, which, took me back in a pretty big way. I mean, I dealt with various forms of unscrupulous people from time to time, but he just took it to a whole nother level. And and a lot of people look at these things just as the outcome, but I thought I really wanted to describe in a raw way, what actually happened.
There's a story, I call it the meatloaf story, where you actually decided after this public battle, Carl Icahn, a corporate raider for people who don't know, he likes to go into distressed companies or companies that he thinks he can make a profit on, buy up shares, become a very, activist investor, put people on the board, lift the share price, sell off his shares, make a lot of money, and walk away, right? He's not really into building companies. And as that drama unfolded and it got nastier and uglier, as you say, a lot of back and forth, you decided to meet up with him in person, and I think he was a little bit surprised by that because it wasn't like the beginning of the battle. You were really in a heated moment in time, and you went over to his house and his wife made you meatloaf. Tell us the story about what happened.
Yeah, I sort of came to this idea that he basically had no idea what we were doing as a business and really had no plan for the business. And so, I wanted to go see him eye to eye, face to face, and really sort of confront him and see, was he doing this because he wanted to, buy the company, take over the company, or was he doing it just to get another 5 cents a share or something like that? I was pretty convinced before I went to his house that it was all just him playing this game. And when I confronted him, as I described in the book, okay, what's your plan? He didn't have a plan, right? And he was just kind of making things up, and that was kind of his modus operandi. And I called his bluff. And at that moment, I kind of saw him, terrified, because he knew that if I walked away, he'd be left holding the bag to try to figure this out, and didn't know anything about the company. As I said, he didn't know whether we made French fries or nuclear reactors, and had no plans for the business whatsoever. And that was a point where my confidence actually dramatically increased that we were going to be successful, even though it was still several months before, he was like the zombie you couldn't kill. You'd like shoot him, and then he'd still be alive. You shoot him again. He just like kept coming back.
That process, which you describe, and anybody at the time could have read all of the SEC filings. The whole TikTok was spelled out. What do you think you learned ultimately from that whole experience? I mean, obviously you wanted to take the company back, and you wanted to, execute on your vision of where to take the PCs and all the back end. But just, you're a pretty savvy businessman. You're very wealthy at the time this deal goes through. But what did you learn just about that entire experience?
Well, for one, I learned that if you're a founder of a company that's public and you try to buy it back, it's unbelievably difficult. The market doesn't like that at all. But at the end, I think it was all worth it. And fortunately, our customers, our team members held together, and trusted me. No, it turned out to be at least 10 times more difficult than I had anticipated.
Whether you work at a desk or a workbench, Square